Hi there, it feels good to be back on your screens. Hello and welcome to the most watched business show in the country. This is the Business Weekly Show on City TV. My name is Michael Ogbodu. Hit me up on Twitter at @mogbodu, and the show is sponsored by Standard Chartered Bank. Standard Chartered Bank here for good. In the next 1 hour, I'll be bringing you all the latest business news in the country. Stay tuned as we make business news fun again. Are you ready? Let's go. So our first story of the week, recent figures from the Ghana Statistical Service has revealed that there are over 30 million people in Ghana. The interesting part of this is that there are 400,000 more females than males in the country. I guess we're officially a motherland now, and maybe this means we'll soon have our first female president. Or
the increase in Ghana's population by 6.1 million from the 24.7 million recorded in 2010 constitutes an annual intercessal growth rate of 2.1%. This rate is less than what was observed in the previous intercensal period between 2000 and 2010 and is the lowest observed since independence. Overall, females make up 50.7% of the population and males 49.3%, given a national sex ratio of 97 males for every 100 females. The government statistician, Professor Samuel Kobina Enim, gives further breakdown of the figures.
Ghana has more females than males, specifically having 50.7% of our population being females and 49.3% of our population being males. It is also important that males and females vary significantly across the 16 administrative regions. So although at the national level we see a percentage change of 1.4 between females and males, that is, females being 1.4 percentage points higher than males, we see variations across 16 administrative regions. Specifically, we find that the Volta region has the highest number of females relative to males, and also on the other side, we find that in the Western North region, we have more males than females, to the percentage difference of 2.5%. So we have a number of regions, specifically 6 of the regions have more males than females, and 10 out of the 16 regions having more females than males.
Over 10 million structures were counted during the listing, out of which 8.5 million are fully completed. The total number of households had grown by 2.8 million, representing a 52% increase over the 5 million households enumerated in 2010. Greater Accra region recorded the highest number of both residential and non-residential structures, with 19.3% of all the total structures listed.
Greater Accra region recorded the highest number of households, specifically 1.7 million, followed by Ashanti region 1.5 million. Northeast region has the least number of households. In the context of average household sizes, we recorded an average household size from the 2021 population and housing census standing at 3.6. This indicates a sharp drop of 1.5 percentage points between the 5.1 that was recorded in the 2010 population and housing census and the 3.6 that is being recorded for 2021 population and housing census. Indeed, the 3.6 that we've recorded for the 2021 population and housing census is the lowest ever since 1960.
Greater Accra region is now the most populous region in Ghana, overtaking the Ashanti region, which has been the most populous region since 1970. On the other hand, the Ahafo region is the least populous region, taking place of the Upper West region, which had been the least populous in all the previous post-independence censuses.
Our growing numbers further highlights the housing deficit in the country. The recent statistics also show that 1 out of every 5 structures are made from wood, metal, etc. And a lot of these serve as homes. No wonder there are slums springing up almost everywhere lately. Even our plush-looking East Legon residential area hasn't been left out. Clearly, the government has to do more to address the housing challenge in the country, and that's according to the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association, GREDA.
Ghana's housing deficit continues to remain same as against the increasing population of the country, which currently stands at 30.8 million. According to data from the just-ended 2021 Population and Housing Census, 1 out of every 5 of the structures listed was not fully completed. Out of the 10.7 million structures listed, 20% were metal containers, kiosks, and wooden structures, some of which serve as homes to people. In a City Business News interview on the sidelines of the graphic real estate and housing revolution at the National Theatre, the Executive Secretary of the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association, Samia Megaibo, noted the problem of affordable housing was compounding, hence the government has to immediately find a solution.
The last time I interviewed a lady who lives there, she tells me that they pay between 5 to 10 cedis a day to live in those unfavorable conditions. To live in a kiosk at that price, no water supply, sometimes no better electricity, and also especially toilet facilities don't exist. But we are allowing these things to spring up without finding solutions to them. If it comes to housing supply, apart from the upper market, the medium market, and the lower market, there are some people that, irrespective of what you do under the circumstance, unfortunately that is how the world is, they will need support. And that is why we call social housing. Unfortunately, we don't have any social housing arrangement in Ghana. That is why this thing keeps coming. And there is heavy migration, urban migration. People from the villages, everybody is trooping to the city. And we are not controlling it because we are not making it possible for them to live comfortably where they are. No jobs, no opportunities. Even those who used to do agric. These days, nobody wants to do agric with cutlass and hoe. So everybody is migrating to the city. And unfortunately, we don't have any social arrangement for them. So it is time we work towards that. I mean, affordable housing has been a difficulty, but it is not difficult to do. It is just that we have not taken our time to look at the issues and taking steps to address them. And so there's issues keep compounding.
The Minister for Works and Housing, Francis Asansomwachi, further reiterated the government's plans in solving the housing problem in the country.
The ministry is providing or developing a sustainable framework that focuses on the overall ecosystem of housing delivery, geared towards improving the housing situation in the country. The objective, Mr. Chairman, of this framework is to address both the supply and demand sides of the housing market by increasing the output of housing units at an affordable rate and developing credible and sustainable mortgage market for all Ghanaians. The strategy adopted is to provide incentive packages to create a very conducive atmosphere for affordable housing delivery.
The Graphic Real Estate and Housing Revolution, which is a 3-day event, is scheduled to give potential homeowners the opportunity to choose from a range of housing options that best suits their budget and need as financiers introduce their housing finance products and services and take participants through the process of acquiring a house.
Access to affordable housing isn't the only challenge in the country. There are several others, and non-governmental organization Send Ghana believes a lot of them could have been addressed if the government worked towards implementing the policies in the budget for the year. I'm sure you've heard of that one particular road that always appears in the budget with allocations to fix it, but every year their value is the same. This cry justifies the position of the NGO.
Send Ghana is worried about the delays in the release of stipends for beneficiaries under the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty (LEAP) program. It has noted that such a pro-poor policy needed to be prioritized by the government in the implementation of its budget policies.
The question is, what are our priorities as a country? And are we putting our resources to our priorities. If we want to help our vulnerable, and we have said so, we have put it on paper, are we helping the vulnerable or are we paying lip service? That's what we should ask ourselves. Saying that, I'm just trying to cite an example that if we have said we will help people we have classified as extremely poor, and we have put them on an intervention, which is the LEAP, and we are not releasing the funds as we should, then we are not helping the situation. We are still making them poor. And even if we are giving it to them and it is inadequate, it cannot address the very reason why we have identified them as core poor, then I'm sure we haven't really helped the group of people we have identified. So whatever we decide to do as a country, we should do it and make it better.
The forum brought together participants from the Ashanti and Bono regions to make inputs in sectors of the economy ahead of the 2022 annual budget. The participants, which included civil society organizations, government agencies, persons with disabilities, media practitioners, retired public sector workers, made proposals to be considered for the 2022 budget. Sand Ghana is urging more citizen participation in issues of national interest. Some of the participants spoke about the inputs made and what they expect from the government.
Social protection, we felt with issue of LEAP, the grants or the funds given to LEAP beneficiaries, they are inadequate. Looking at the increasing cost of living with regards to the prices of goods and services, the money is woefully inadequate, and we felt the government to increase the funds given to them by 20%.
If there's a need to increase spending in the area of putting up the storm drains, resourcing our sanitation departments of the various assemblies to ensure that they are always on the ground, and then they are able to pick refuse from the street and they don't get choked in gutters and the rest, we should do it.
The forum was spearheaded by Send Ghana with funding from UNICEF, the World Bank, USAID and Oxfam.
The Ghana Union of Traders Associations, GUTA, has taken the lead. Remember last week they called on the government to allow the task force to begin its work of locking down shops of foreign retail traders who are breaking the law. But it appears they can't wait for the government any longer. They started in the eastern region and closed down over 40 shops, and later in the capital, Accra. According to them, all they want is for the enforcement of the law that prevents foreigners from engaging in retail trade, period.
The standoff between local and foreign retailers has been intense since early last year, with the locking up of foreign-owned retail shops in parts of the country. It will be recalled that the government set up a presidential task force for the sole purpose of finding an amicable solution to the matter. The work of the task force has, however, stalled following objections raised by the Nigeria Union of Traders Association Ghana on the proposals made. Upon arrival at Opera Square, some electrical shops had already been locked up while others were being closed. Throughout our stay, there was no account of a clash between the shop owners and the Ghana Electrical Dealers Association task force, but the affected traders refused to speak to City News. According to the Director of Communications for GUTA, Joseph Paddy, the operation is a response to a delayed action on the part of government since new tax objection.
This proposal was made between the two member states because the High Commission was part of the committee that met. There was members from Abuja that came. Select Committee on Trade in Parliament House, they were also part of the committee. Ministry of Trade was part, GUTA was part, and the NUTAC, the Nigerian Traders Association, was also part of that committee meeting, which we all agreed to, and they all agreed to that proposal. So we don't know why that U10, a certain U10, that they were not ready to come up with the data. So in our mind, we were like, either there's something going wrong, or they don't have document at all, and they're operating the country. So we said that if that's the case, we wrote back to Ministry of Trade that then they should embark on the closure of the shop by the committee that presidential task force should embark on the closure of the shops. So we wrote to them And I think they wrote back to us recently that they've gotten our letter and then they're going to embark on. But the agitation on the ground was just too much. So our members went around, those who they identify as foreigners, they went around and closed their shops. And they asked some of them to bring their documents for us to peruse those documents.
He also calls on the National Security Agency to treat the situation with the utmost urgency, as he describes the matter at hand as one of national security interest.
And with all this, we have security implication in there. Because as a foreigner, and we don't have a data on you, we don't know where you live, you don't know what you do, and then if Ghana government is asking for a data and you don't want to provide those data, then we suspect something. So we want the national security to also come in and look into the activities of these foreigners and their operations in the country, so that we have a healthy environment to work with.
He revealed that the Ministry of Trade had hinted of the Presidential Task Force's resumption of the locking of shops by next Tuesday.
We've written to them that urgently we expect them to start operating any moment from now, and we hope to hear from them. Our sector minister, Honorable Chamate, has called us. He's going to engage us in a meeting on Tuesday. But I believe that on Tuesday, we're going to hear something good from him. We're going to get some good news that the task force is going to start operating. But in the interim, our members are helping to be citizens of the country.
Still on trade-related issues, the African Continental Free Trade Area is seeking to improve trade in Africa by taking away barriers like duty on goods made on the continent. But the question is, how do you define a made in Africa product? Is it one that just has a label that says so, or one that was assembled here, or one that was completely made here? Well, the AFTA Secretariat says it is working to finalize the answers to all of these pressing questions soon. The African Continental Free Trade Area, with a combined population of more than 1 billion people and a combined GDP of over $3 trillion, seeks to improve trade amongst member countries. To ensure this, the agreement hopes to remove various trade barriers like duties on goods and services. But to establish this, under the agreement, there must be a clear definition for goods made in the continent. The rules of origin are critical and will have a significant impact on how African countries trade with their counterparts across the continent. There are thousands of tariffs, and these rules will specify whether a product can be categorized as African-made and eligible for tariff reliefs. Without this in place, some trade groups like the Ghana Union of Traders Associations (GUTA) have raised concerns stating that it would be a major setback in the implementation of AFTA. GUTA argues that without clear-cut determinations on goods made on the continent, some may abuse the provision and include any product found within the region irrespective of their origin. But Mr. Mene says significant progress has been made and it would be concluded on soon.
Well, we have made 80% progress. Out of almost 8,000 products, we've agreed on 86% of those rules. We have a little bit of work to do in automobiles, textiles and clothing and sugar. But I believe in the next few weeks, when the Ministers of Trade converge in Accra on the 10th of October, I think we will find a solution.
Do you have a business that has been dormant for a number of years now? And have you also failed to file your tax returns? Then please, when the Registrar General's Department releases its list on the 1st of October, check and see if your company is in there, because it will be publishing the names of 222 dormant companies whose names have been struck out of the company's register. Madam, if you hear of the requirements to get your company back, you say you go dog.
In Ghana, companies are required by the Companies Act 2019, Act 992, to update their records and file their financials with the Registrar General 18 months after incorporation and at every financial year, whether the company is in business operation or not. Since 2011, about 200 companies have failed to file their annual returns and financial statements despite several notices and reminders. As part of efforts to curtail the trend, the Registrar General's Department has issued numerous warnings to this effect. In April 2021, the department issued its third and final public warning of its intention to purge its register of names of dormant companies pursuant to Section 289 of the Companies Act 2019, Act 992. The department also recently served notice to the business community and the general public that it will end its validation of dormant companies at the end of September this year. The exercise, which commenced on 1st July 2021, was to validate dormant companies which adhered to the directive of the Registrar of Companies to file their annual returns with the department or risk being delisted from the company's register. Speaking at the launch of the Companies Insolvency Act 1015, the Registrar General, Jemima Owari, said her outfit will from October 1 publish the names of about 222 dormant companies whose names have been struck out from the company's register. She called on the general public to inform the department of any companies that owed them before they are expunged from the company's register.
We put out a list of businesses that had not filed annual returns up to date. We took them through the whole process of putting out notices, giving them an opportunity for them to come and update us on their records. It hasn't happened. So we started calling the various businesses individually. And out of that, we have about 222 companies that have voluntarily given us the permission to go ahead to strike their names off the register because they are not doing business, they are not carrying on business. So what we intend to do is from the 1st of October, we'll publish these names in the dailies and in the gazette, and then after that, we'll strike their names off the register. What that means is they cannot come back, and anybody who wants to do business with them, you'll not find their names on the register. But as we put it out, if there's anybody out there that, these businesses owe, it's an opportunity for you to come back and inform us so that we'll put a hold on that one until you settle your debts before the names are taken off the register. And we'll continue this process of updating the records till the end of the year, and then we'll put out another list. So as we put out the notices, people realize that we are really serious. We have to make sure that you update us as and when you have to. By not updating us, what that means is that you are not carrying on business and people should not then do business with you. If you are seriously wanting to do business in Ghana, then you have to update us.
Charlie, let's talk about electricity. My colleague in the office told me about her story pie. Oh, Charlie, bachelor pie that has managed to cook some food over the weekend for the entire week. And then the light goes off for the next 4 days because the ECG system was down and he couldn't buy prepaid. Hey, that thing can pain, even more than broken heart. Mr. Klama, you can cool down now because the utility company says it has acquired a $15 million server to address the challenge. Hearing the amount alone is so reassuring, that we wouldn't have such a challenge again.
The Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, has been faced with the challenge of serving its customers on the prepaid meter system. In some instances, some of the meters, which are supposed to disconnect electricity supply to prepaid customers after they had exhausted their purchases, stay connected and continue to record customers' consumption on a zero balance. This situation often leads to a build-up of debt for clients. Other challenges include the poor communication between some of its smart meters and servers and the issue of illegal connection. To help address these concerns, the Millennium Development Authority, MIDA, under the Millennium Challenge Corporation, has installed a meter management system for the ECG at a cost of $15 million. The software is expected to integrate ECG's smart prepaid metering platforms and enhance customer experience.
This advanced multi-metering system allows for interoperability across different metering systems and meter manufacturers and will enable ECG to reduce the cost of providing metering services and make it easier for prepaid customers of ECG to purchase credit anywhere within ECG's operational area. The system will also provide timely information on how customers are using electricity and, most importantly, report a faulty meter which is returning inaccurate billing, or inform ECG if a meter has been tampered with. This way, the system will provide ECG with information needed to protect revenue and reduce losses.
In speaking at the inauguration of the meter management system, the board chair of the ECG, Kelly Gajekpo, urged meter suppliers to subscribe to the new system or forfeit any business transactions with the company.
The reason why it's important that all our metering systems come on stream is that going forward, to be able to transact with ECG as a meter supplier, you must be MMS compliant. If you are not MMS compliant, you are not going to be able to do business with ECG. So we've achieved 13 so far out of the 21, 8 more to go, and anyone who cares to come and do business with ECG with meters will have to be MMS compliant. So that goes out to our business partners.
This particular system is also expected to address power theft. So if you know you are engaged in any illegal connection, it will be better to advise yourself. Reporting from the ECG's project office here at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle in Accra, my name is Ni Ayikwe Okain for City News.
ECG, please, about the smart meters. I live at Amra here, and I'll be waiting for mine so I can also buy my prepaid using Momo. Why? Now, to another utility company whose board was established earlier this week, the Ghana Water Company Limited. Now, the Minister of Sanitation and Water Resources is calling on the board of directors of the company to work hard to improve the financial situation of the company. Clearly, this will mean that they will have more resources to extend their reach to communities that are yet to have access to potable water. The Minister of Sanitation and Water Resources, Madame Cecilia Dapa, stated that improving the financial position of the Ghana Water Company Limited was key to the government's attainment of its Water for All agenda. She further called on the board to ensure the completion of the various water projects started by the company and an improvement in its general operations.
We can achieve this as we use staff motivation as a tool. I urge you to uphold the enviable track record of performance by GWCL. To achieve this, I entreat the board to hold their regular quarterly board meetings, but with limited number of emergencies in a quarter, whilst committee meetings are scheduled in between regular meetings. I urge the board to do their work with the vision of government's agenda of water for all in mind. Distinguished appointed board of directors, we have a responsibility to keep our eyes on the ball to ensure that the Sustainable Development Goal 6 is achieved. It is worth noting that His Excellency the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, in the previous year cut the sword for a number of water projects across the country. These are Tamale Water, Yendi, Damango, Wenchi, Keta, Sekendita, Prade, and Sunyani water supply systems. As directors of the board, I urge you to help the management to meticulously steer the affairs of the company to ensure that all these projects are properly executed for the benefit of the good people of Ghana.
Meanwhile, Chairman of the Board of the Ghana Water Company Limited and Member of Parliament for Okaikwe Central, Patrick Yaw-Boama, stated that they would work to ensure the utility company attains financial independence. He further pledged on behalf of the board to raise the Ghana Water Company Limited's operations to international standards.
It has come at a time that a company that has over 4,000 employees with over 90 plants nationwide still depends so much on government to survive. And I believe that we must move the company in a certain direction where they can be able to do a lot of things on the back of their own balance sheets. Honorable Minister, you rightly said that we need to chart a new path to put the company as a world-class utilities company, like it happens everywhere in the world. And I believe that Ghana Water Company has the capacity, has the resources to be able to move towards that direction. What do Ghanaians want from this company? To be able to provide reliable water supply, quality water supply, and reliable water supply, and to also have some effective communication from the company when challenges arise. It's a company, and definitely the company may encounter some challenges. So the company must be able to devise very strategic means of communicating to the good people of this country should there be a problem.
The Minerals Development Fund Board was also set up, and it has been tasked by the sector minister to ensure they work to improve mining communities in the country. This is a very good call because if you see especially the roots of some mining communities, you would almost lose hope.
The 11-member board is chaired by ace journalist Kweku Ado Sechiado. They are to see to the implementation of policies and programs that are core to the development of mining communities. At the swearing-in ceremony, the Lands and Natural Resources Minister Samuel Abdullahi Jinapor charged the board to work towards the development of mining areas. He also tasked them to see to the welfare of indigenes of mining communities as it is stipulated in their mandate.
And a fund was established, amongst others, to mobilize the requisite resources, statutory, private sector, and from other sources to be able to bring about the much needed development of mining communities in our country. And therefore, the provisions of the Act enjoins the board to formulate policies and strategies which will result in the efficient utilization of the fund and which will ultimately result into the upliftment of the citizens and settlers of mining communities in our country.
Ghana has gold, diamonds, bauxite, manganese, salt, limestone, granite and oil. Its mining and quarrying sector contributes significantly to its economy. However, mining communities in Ghana are generally poor. Mining imposes socioeconomic costs on host communities through land acquisitions, environmental degradation, pollution and a high cost of living. Although host communities are entitled to different types of compensation and mineral royalty transfers, they are still among the poorest communities in the country. Speaking on behalf of the board, its chairman, Kweku Ado Sechiado, said the board will collaborate with the relevant stakeholders to ensure mining communities benefit from their minerals.
It's an opportunity to serve by providing leadership and strategic direction to the management and executive team of the Minerals Development Fund. We look forward to working with all stakeholders, with chiefs, Nana, with youth groups, with women, with political actors across the aisle, with civil society organizations, in an atmosphere of cooperation and mutual respect.
Still in the extractive sector, Charlie, if you hear the amount that Ghana has made from drilling oil for the past 10 years, you go bald. How can we own the oil and still be getting mega amounts from it? No wonder economist and lecturer at the University of Ghana, Dr. Edu Owusu-Sarkodie says the government must consider renegotiating old contracts in the extractive sector which do not offer the country value for money. He also added that we must be an active participant in the production process to make the best out of it.
Government's revenue from the extractive sector as a share of the sector's value added, according to data from the Institute for Fiscal Studies (IFS), stands at only 19.3%. However, the averages for the African, middle income and all the developing economies in the sample stand at 49.7%, 54.2% and 50.9% respectively. Speaking to City Business News on the way forward, Dr. Edu Owusu-Sarkodie, an economist and lecturer at the University of Ghana, mentioned that government should have not less than 55% of active participation in production activities in the extractive sector going forward.
To
we started producing oil in commercial quantities in the year 2010 and recorded them in the 2011 budget. And so we have existing contracts. If possible, we have to renegotiate all those existing contracts and make sure that we get value for money, if possible. Now, in the current contracts that we have, all the new discoveries that we have, our recommendation is that not only should government have increased shareholdings in all these things, but we are talking about ownership, where government will actively participate in the production process. And the recommendation is that government of Ghana should have not less than 55% in active production of the extractive sector. Here, we are talking about all the minerals, we are talking about the oil, we are talking about the gas. We are saying that if it is mineral production or oil exploration, government of Ghana's agency must go to the sea with the company. We are part of the quantity production, not just shareholders. There are two different things. So be a shareholder, all right, one recommendation. The other recommendation is that we must invest and take part in the production. When you are part of the production, unlike as a shareholder, you only earn dividends. But if you take part in production, though you'll be earning dividends on your shares, you will also have a share of the quantities produced.
Dr. Eduawusu Sarkodie further highlights the improvement in revenue that will be achieved if government improves its participation level in production in the extractive sector.
It cannot be done within a year. It cannot be done today or within a year. It's a gather process. Let's start from somewhere. That's why we are happy that GMPC is taking the bold initiative to go into production. It is a good step. We can extend the same agreement to gold production in Ghana. Government of Ghana must actively participate in the production process so that we can earn as much as Botswana is earning and Nigeria is earning. When we are able to do that per our 2018 calculations, government of Ghana, if we are having 50% active participation in the production process, we are able to raise 20 billion Ghana cedis every year per the 2018 calculation. About 13 billion cedis from the mineral sector and about 7 billion cedis from the oil and gas sector. This is the way to go.
Now to tourism. Have you ever been to the Volta region before? What catches my attention about the place is how neat it is, especially its beaches. There are several lovely places to see there. But what is tourism without a place to stay during your visits? The Volta Regional Chapter of the Association of Ghana Industries AGI is calling on the investor community to consider opportunities in the provision of affordable hotel accommodation in the region. This, according to the association, will boost the tourism potential of the region.
Despite being an area rich in tourism potential, the high cost of hotel accommodation and bad roads have been blamed for the poor patronage of tourist sites in the Volta region. Ahead of the celebration of the 42nd International Tourism Day, scheduled to take place in the Hohwa municipality of the Volta region, President of the Volta chapter of the Association of Ghana Industries, Delaga Janku, told City Business News there was a need to ramp up investment in affordable hotel accommodations.
The tourism space, we are looking at investment in hotels. We want more hotel accommodations, especially at affordable rates. We've been trying to promote domestic tours for the last year or two, and sometimes we are not comfortable putting on the prices because the average Ghanaian will always continue to ask, can they afford this? But if you look critically at the components of the pricing, you will find that there's nothing in there. Most of the tour operators are even not making any profit because a chunk of it goes to the hotels, it goes to the tour operations, it goes to even transportation. So now that also we are trying to diversify our transportation mix where we have an airport, and in future I'm sure we are going to have a railway, at least we know that some of this will bring the cost down. So we are calling for investment in the hotel and accommodation space, very budget ones. We welcome government's proposal to build the affordable hotels. We are ready to speak with government.
Mr. Gajanku also said there was a need to focus on the roads in the region and hospitality services being rendered by hotels and tourist site operators.
And we're also appealing for how do we call it, the infrastructure, the road network to most of the tourist sites to be improved. It's sometimes quite challenging. I mean, trying to travel around in the bus without entry portals, and we know the effects. I mean, sometimes you want to go in distress when you're undertaking some of these trips, and in the end, you get more stress than ever. So we also welcome government's plans to construct the roads to one or two major tourist sites per region, which will go along with the enhanced domestic tourism. Another area we are looking at is training in the services sector, the hospitality sector. There are some deficiencies. We have had challenges with some of the operators of hotels and hospitality setups where we don't get the best of services. If you go to countries like Kenya, Rwanda, we're told of how excellent and standard the services that they provide right from the airport, the taxi drivers, even the tourism ambassador, all the way to the hotels. We are deficient in this. We are continuing working with the local office of the tourism to try to offer some training to our hospitality establishments.
We turn our attention now to youth unemployment, and Professor Goski Alabi has been proposing some very interesting ideas on how we can reduce the menace by taking advantage of the soon-to-be established Development Bank Ghana. Check her out in our next video. The issue of unemployment in the country was further highlighted when several young people recently thronged the Youth Employment Agency's job fair in a bid to secure employment. As part of efforts to address this issue, in 2018, the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, launched the National Builders Corps NABCO initiative to employ some 100,000 graduates. Despite these efforts, the youth unemployment rate is still of a major concern. On the other hand, the government is taking steps to establish the Development Bank Ghana to provide capital for various sectors like agriculture, manufacturing, among others, at lower rates. Already, the Ministry of Finance has signed an agreement with the European Investment Bank EIB for 170 million euros for the establishment of the Development Bank in Ghana. Professor Goski Alabi, while commending the establishment of the DBG, called for special allocations for young entrepreneurs. This is what she had to say to justify her position.
We are a youthful country, and the youth need to be empowered because they are the future of this country. And when we talk about unemployment, it cuts across. However, we have more of the youth being affected, and they have the energy and the potential to make the difference that we're looking for.
He further called for systems to be put in place to ensure the success of young entrepreneurs under her proposed model.
Is it possible that we can put groups of the youth together, like in a concept of cooperative, schemes, and say, what do you want to do? Bring your business ideas, bring your business proposals, and put the skills mix together. Now, we select on the basis of the quality of the business proposal that is before them, not because somebody belongs to somebody or somebody. It should be based on merit. And once we have done this, we need to give them proper orientation, leadership orientation, entrepreneurial skills by getting the captains of industry to meet with these people and reorient them about how to manage the resource. They should be made to believe that if they do it well, it will belong to them, but they have to provide accountability and they have to be given time to pay back.
A number of fund management companies were closed down during the financial sector cleanup, and this affected the investments of some of their customers. But some rural banks are just wondering why it is becoming difficult for them to get their about 100 million Ghana cedis in investment funds locked up with their National Trust Holdings Company Limited.
The financial sector cleanup commenced by the Akufo-Addo administration in August 2017 led to the collapse of 9 universal banks, 347 microfinance companies, 39 microcredit companies, 15 savings and loans companies, 8 finance house companies, and 2 non-bank financial institutions. Later in November 2019, The Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) revoked the licenses of 53 fund management companies due to various breaches, including the non-payment of clients' funds totaling 8 billion Ghana cedis. The total estimated cost of the state's fiscal intervention, excluding interest payments from 2017 to 2019, was pegged at 16.4 billion Ghana cedis. Over the years, the collapse of these institutions has left clients in distress as many of the customers continue to struggle to retrieve their savings and investments. A number of rural banks in the country have raised serious concerns about their locked-up investment funds of approximately 100 million Ghana cedis with the National Trust Holdings Company Limited, NTHC. The ARB Apex Bank Limited, which serves as a mini central bank for rural and community banks in Ghana, says it will take time for rural banks who have their funds locked up with these fund management companies to fully recover and serve their communities. Speaking to City Business News about the situation, the acting managing director of ARB Apex Bank, Alex Kwesi Iwo, indicated that shareholders of some affected rural banks could be called upon to provide additional capital to cushion the banks.
We provided some kind of liquidity cover for them. They've been operating, but then they have had to make provisions for these impairments, and it has affected their profitability levels. And actually, if you do assessment of their profit levels in 2018, 2019, up to even 2020, you can see that it affected them significantly. It is only 2021 that we are expecting that having made all these provisions, they will recover. But the whole thing is losses have been incurred, and income surpluses have been affected. Capital adequacy has been affected, and for that matter, it will take them some time to recover. And in some instances, shareholders will have to be, called upon to provide additional capital.
Did you hear about the whole issue of a likely shortage of maize among other grains in the country? I'm sure at least you heard the Poultry Farmers Association lament how a shortage of poultry feed inputs were affecting their business. But the Food and Agriculture Minister, Dr. Owusu Efiri-Akoto, says everybody should keep calm because the government will soon establish the Grain Development Authority to protect and enhance the sector. He says there is no cause for alarm at all.
According to figures from the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, Ghana exported over 130,000 metric tons of 19 food items to neighboring countries in 2019. The ministry indicated that there has been increased production of maize, rice, soybeans, and other grains. Dr. Efiri-Akoto said there was a need to establish an authority that will ensure the successes chalked in the sector are sustained.
In 2019, Ghana exported over 130,000 metric tons of 19 food items to our neighbors. We've become the breadbasket of West Africa. In 2015, we were importing into this country 115,000 metric tons of maize. 2016, it went to about 80,000 metric tons. Now we're a net exporter. We've been a net exporter of maize all this time now to our neighbors, and the volumes are increasing. Maize production has gone from 1.8 million metric tons total output. Last year, we did over 3 million metric tons, and my target is to double that to 6 million metric tons in the next 2-3 years. We should be able to do that because the farmers are showing such keen interest in the programs that we've put together. We want to be self-sufficient in rice, and that one we've said that by 2023, 2024, this country will be self-sufficient in rice. And if you look at the statistics, you can see that in leaps and bounds, we are getting to that stage. We want to be able to do 1 million metric tons of soya, and that one too, we are in the process. As a result of all these improvements, I'm actually going to Cabinet to create an authority for grains. Grain Development Authority is in the pipeline, just like we have the Tree Crop Development Authority to take charge of all the development in the grain sector. And subsequently, we are going to tackle vegetables to create an authority for vegetables. So we are building institutions to underpin the gains that we have made.
The Agri Minister further outlined measures the government was adopting to help farmers improve their yields.
Ghana is now spending 10% of its budgetary allocation to agriculture. It's never happened. And last year on seed and fertilizer alone, the government spent nearly $940 million. Note, $940 million on subsidies for improved seed and fertilizer alone. So that is how serious this government is when we're talking about transformation. And that is reflected in the surpluses we are getting. The idea is that we focus on smallholders and try and improve their productivity, their yields.
The minister reassured Ghanaians the country's agri sector was strong and fears over food shortage should be disregarded.
So our final story of the week. Key stakeholders in the fertilizer value chain in the country are predicting an increase in fertilizer prices because of some supply challenges with many countries we get them from. At the current price, we can't afford to use enough of it. Then imagine when the price shoots up and the assemblable, it really will be an issue.
Being a country that currently applies less fertilizer than what international standards require, the rising cost of fertilizer on the international market comes as a bother to stakeholders in the agricultural subsector. Speaking to City Business News on the sidelines of the launch of a fertilizer dashboard created by the Development Gateway in collaboration with africafertilizer.org to compile and analyze data on fertilizer supply, prices and use in Ghana, Director of Crop Services at the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, Seth Osei-Akoto, said the dashboard could not have come at a better time than now.
The dashboard, I reckon, is a very good tool to support implementation of agriculture programs in the country. Why do I say so? I say so because having worked in the ministry for some time now, looking for data on fertilizer sometimes is so challenging. But with this platform, looking at the various components of the platform, you can access a lot of data which will be useful for decision making, and I say when it comes to implementation of some of the government programs that we are embarking on as a ministry.
Mr. Osei-Akoto also said the ministry is aware of the looming shortage of fertilizer and is strategizing to control its impact.
With respect to the looming crisis, with respect to the higher prices of fertilizers being skyrocketed, I would say we are aware of that as a country, as a ministry. And you will try as much as possible to collaborate with our stakeholders, especially the private sector providers, to see the quantity of fertilizer they can bring into the country to support the planting for food and jobs. Alternatively, we also have organic fertilizers. The organic fertilizers, we have different forms. We have the liquid forms, you have the compost forms, and then you have the granular forms. And some of these organic fertilizers are manufactured locally. So you also fall on that. But you also recognize that there's a challenge with the use of organic fertilizers. That is where, as a ministry, we need to come out with a program. Alternatively, in case the inorganic fertilizers become so challenging that the suppliers cannot afford to supply the quantities needed, you fall on the organic fertilizers which are produced locally. And we need to be able to set up a team to educate the farmers the use of these organic fertilizers and the way they are also going to help us to increase productivity levels.
A senior advisor at the Office of the President in charge of Ghana's fertilizer expansion program, Nana Sewa Bonsoamwako, told City Business News plans are underway to ensure Ghana produce fertilizers to feed local farmers and also supply to neighboring countries.
This plant will be part of the newly created petroleum hub that has been created. So I think importantly, in the long term, if we have our own fertilizers that have been produced locally, with a natural gas here that the price is also reasonable locally, such shortages at the global level will not impact us in the same way, because it's different to control production locally versus importation of fertilizers, where you simply don't have any control over other global economies and what they do. So I think the president has spearheaded an extremely effective initiative, which going forward will ensure that fertilizers are affordable to our local farmers, they are accessible, and most importantly, long-term food security in this country will be achieved because of our own fertilizer production.
Well, that's all time will allow us for this week's edition of the Business Weekly Show on City TV, your most watched business show in the country. My name is Michael Ogbodu. Catch you same time next week. But don't miss out on the Business Dashboard, 10 p.m. sharp every weekday, with a repeat at 7 and at 10:30 a.m. And our website, citybusinessnews.com, has regular business news update for you. Catch you same time next week. Stay safe, stay informed, and bye-bye.